Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where we talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Medaka Kuroiwa is Impervious to My Charms, Season 1, Episode 7. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So the first chunk of this episode, and it still kind of ends up being the recurring theme for the rest of the episode, but also will play a part next episode as well, is this revolves around Medaka's lock screen, because Sho ends up putting a pinup girl on his screen because it's kind of him and their friend is like, oh, you should use this as kind of training, as kind of like this way you get used to like girls and stuff, because if you don't, and this speaks volumes about Medaka. He didn't immediately delete it. He could have easily deleted it then, but even they're like, yeah, he covered his eyes, but I think he kept peeking through his fingers. That even then he kept it. He's like, I'm going to go somewhere quiet. I'm going to look at it, just stare at it one more time, and then I'm going to delete it. It's like, you should have deleted it from the beginning if you were nervous about anyone seeing that being. The funny thing, I won't go into details. When I was in high school, I want to say it was my freshman year of high school, I had a slightly similar thing, but it was a teacher instead of a girl that saw it. And it wasn't on a phone screen, it was on a computer screen. I'll leave it at that. Let your mind run rampant what you thought. But yeah, I had a very provocative photo saved as the background just for whatever reason. I don't know why. I was stupid. And the teacher ended up seeing it. It's a whole thing. Yeah, either way, God, that took me back. I hadn't thought about that in years. But either way, so at the same time, Medaka is she's listening to Tsubomi, because Tsubomi's like, oh, do you want me to send a cute picture to Kuroiwa to kind of get him thinking about you? Because for Tsubomi, it's like, yo, I'm on your side because Asahi is your rival, so that makes her my rival too. Even though Tsubomi has very selfish reasons why. I mean, for one, it's like, yo, I'm very ride or die with you. She even says like, yo, I'm an OG, because she thinks like Asahi and Asahi and Mona are hitting it off, because she's like, oh, she looks at it like, Asahi's like a big fan of Mona, even though she isn't. She's the one person that doesn't treat Mona the same way other than Medaka, but Asahi's the only other person that treats Mona the way she does. But she even kind of recognizes her slightly as a rival. But yeah, Tsubomi is like, oh, you're getting closer to Mona, because Mona doesn't even just call me by my last name. She still calls me by my last name. Yeah, you're to the point where she's like just calling you Asahi. So it's just like the comfortability was like, I want to get closer to. So once again, she has her own reasons, but she, it's still the thing of I'm looking out for Mona, and that's your love rival. So I got your back in that capacity, but she's also my rival because she's getting closer to you, and I'm an OG Mona fan, so I want to be closer to you. And so it's like, oh, let's take a picture, take one of the many, many pictures I've taken. Let's find one and send it to Kuroiwa so he can be thinking about you, which even, Mona's worried about, well, people get a wrong impression, but she's also like, nah, honestly, Tsubomi came up with a good idea, except she sent the photo before showing it to Mona, and for Mona it's like, why am I making that face? Why am I looking at him like that? I can't let anyone see that. I can't let Kuroiwa see that, but I can't let anyone else see that photo because they'll misunderstand the situation with the way I'm looking at him, like I like him or something. So can't unsend the photo. Well, they probably could have, but her phone is dying, and it's like, oh, I wonder why your phone is dying, Tsubomi. It probably involves you taking constant pictures of Mona throughout the day, where your phone is, you're not even through the whole school day and your phone's already dead, because you're probably so busy on it all the time looking at stuff about Mona, or taking notes stuff about Mona, but mainly taking pictures and stuff. So that's a whole thing, which also makes you wonder, man, you must have, pictures don't, unless you have a crap ton, which she does, but I was about to say, you need a lot of photos to fill up your memory on just your phone's memory alone. But either way, so now it becomes a race where Mona's trying to track down Medaka to delete the message before he could see it. But then Medaka's more concerned about getting rid of the pinup girl on his phone. So he goes to the roof, the do it alone. Mona interrupts it, grabs his phone after it flies out of his hands after he falls, and kind of rolls all over the place, kind of being embarrassed. And she deletes the message. He never saw it. But then she sees the pinup girl, and he's like, yo, it wasn't me. Sho's the one that put that on my phone. And then Medaka was just Mona was kind of down. And Medaka's like, what is that expression about? And when she finally gets to the other side of the door, of the rooftop, she's kind of like, huh, I'm much cuter than that girl. And so her pride is hurt because it's like, why he so it's oh, so that's what you're into? It's like, I'm way cuter than that girl. Like, why can't he have like a picture of me? And it's just like she was once again, like she's taking ego blow after ego blow after ego blow when it comes to Medaka, and this is just an extra layer of it because it's just kind of like, huh, even though you were so quick to try and delete a photo off of his phone knowing that he's got someone else there. So it's like, oh, so that's what you're into. But he did explain Show's the one that put it up there. But once again, he could have deleted that immediately because she still caught him looking at it. So it's like, oh, I never saw the message, but it's clearly that you were staring at that photo. So it's like, once again, so she's not completely wrong to kind of think that way. But either way, Medaka did eventually delete the photo, and they're telling him, it's like, oh, well, let's find a cute girl to put on your background because like all your photos are of cats and stuff, and it's like, that's boring. And then Mona's overhearing this. It's like, oh, you need a cute picture photo. She takes a cute selfie, send it to him. It's like, oh, I didn't mean to send that to you, but you could use it as like your background of your lock screen if you want to. And so Show and the other dude are just kind of like, yeah, that's amazing. This is a great photo. Oh my god, you're so lucky to have a selfie of Medaka and of Mona, and then he proceeds to delete said photo. So she's just like, why did he delete that? What's this whole thing about? So once again, he didn't want to give into some temptation because it's like, I already kind of fell down that rabbit hole once, and it being someone I know now as my lock screen background, it like makes it worse. So it's like, no, I'm not going to be tempted even anymore. I let temptation send me astray before, and I'm not going to let it happen, especially with it being a picture of someone I know. So. But then Tsubomi inspires Mona because of the whole Halloween is coming up. And she's like, oh, I'm going to pick a costume that will force Medaka to put me as his background. And it's like, I'm going to do that. And so she's saying like, oh, let's have a Halloween party. It's going to be at Home Dude's place. And initially Medaka didn't want to go, but then like everyone else, you see Show at the front like cracking his knuckles. You even see Tsubomi behind him being like, come on. It's like, yeah, come on. And everyone in the classroom being pissed at him. So he kind of has no choice but to kind of lament, like kind of give in and concede. And so, yeah. I love, once again, you have Asahi outside overhearing all of this. So she also got invited to their shopping for costumes. It's all three of the boys, including Medaka, and also Mona, Tsubomi, and also Asahi got invited. Because it's like, oh, like she's a friend of Mona's, and it's like, oh, well, obviously she only came here to get close to just to see Medaka. But also we find out it wasn't just her idea, it was Manami, her friend's idea, that like, oh, like, but even like, because Asahi's like, well, this is a different class. I mean, for one, she's a first year, they're second years. It's like, really, should I be like involving myself not only with a different class, also a different grade than me, like their Halloween party? But Manami's like, oh, like this Halloween is kind of a good chance to spark relationship vibes, because she's like, the chances of getting into a romance around Halloween time is up by like 45% chance. So it's kind of like, hey, there's a pretty good chance to kind of woo Medaka with whatever costume you get. So has a very similar idea to Mona, just they want different results. She wants to get Medaka's attention to Asahi wants to get Medaka's attention so they can eventually date and for him to see her a certain way. Whereas Mona wants him to see her a certain way just so it's like, I'll be on your lock screen and then you'll become infatuated with me. So slightly similar paths, but the road and journey there to the long run is slightly different, and you kind of want slightly different end results, but still. And I love that whole bit where the guys are imagining like, oh, what if Mona shows up looking like this or this, like these different styles of dress up, and then she comes in, obviously her casual clothes, everyone's blown away, obviously. I do love the parallel of like, because Mona has Tsubomi on her side, Asahi has Manami on her side, and it's interesting because like they serve kind of similar roles but also differently, because like Tsubomi is obviously Mona's number one fan and is trying to really, really help her. The way Asahi looks at it sometimes, she's just like, you're not here just to make fun of me, are you? And she's like, oh, of course I'm not. Because it seems like I'm getting my own, like, oh, I want to help you out, but as your friend, I'd maybe go as far as probably best friend, maybe. As your friend / maybe best friend, I also get enjoyment out of this whole thing, and I want to help you out, but I also get some joy and enjoyment out of this. So I'm curious to see where that goes. Just once again, these two people having a person in their corner, like backing them up and stuff like that. So trying different outfits, both Mona and obviously Tsubomi being like, "Oh my god, you're so cute in every outfit, even an animal outfit, you look so cute." And then like all the different outfits for Asahi. So the boys are picking out costumes because they're like, who cares about our costumes? The real costume importance is the girls. So Medaka's nearby listening, like, okay, if I can find out what Mona, once again, I keep doing that, sorry. Mona's nearby watching Medaka, and it's like, if I can find out what he likes, I can disguise, I can pick that costume. But the problem is she was so embarrassed and didn't want to be found out watching him. I love that whole bit where it's like, you probably could have easily gotten away in time, but like her, like putting on the horse mask and pretending like she was there on the shelf, and it just, I love that whole thing. Because she had the horse mask on, she couldn't really see what Medaka was pointing at, and she got the wrong idea. I was like, "What was the costume?" Because initially the costume shows up censored. I'm like, "What was it? What did she pick?" And we ultimately find out. Well, we find out what all the girls picked. Tsubomi is wearing a fairy costume. Asahi's wearing a goth costume and shows up there hooting and hollering, and then ultimately gets to her, and she's wearing a very revealing mummy outfit because she's wearing a partially bandaged up body. It's like very revealing, and just everyone's kind of losing their mind. And even Asahi's like, "Wow, would you really go this far?" And it's like for her just to prove a point to show her queen bee-ness, she would cross this line for Medaka. But Medaka like Medaka chose a different costume because it's like, oh my god, like, oh, could you imagine Medaka if Mona had chosen a costume? Because like, oh, that one was like right beside the one that you chose, and she's like, wait, what? It's like, yes, you chose her own costume, and she tried to play it off like, oh, of course, I was just messing with you guys. We'll wait till the actual party for me to show it off. So but she hasn't accepted defeat yet. She's like, no, I'm going to get him at the Halloween party, and that's going to be next episode. So that's definitely going to be interesting to see what the outfit's going to be. It's interesting too because it's a new outro to this show, and that outro we see her in different outfits. It's like her in the casual clothes she was wearing this episode in another outfit, and then the outfit at the very end is the one that was shown off, being like, oh, Medaka, if she had chosen this one that was like right beside the that mummy outfit was like right beside this one, which was the one you chose. So I'm wondering, is that going to end up still being the one she shows up at the party with, or is it going to be something else? I'm wondering, will she try to have multiple costume changes? I doubt that, but we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see how that whole Halloween party situation goes down. Because yes, it's a thing for the class, but it's also like it's going to be at Home Dude's. I keep forgetting his name. I just kept referring to him as Home Dude. Home Dude's name is Yuzuru, right? It's like I said, they're doing something for class, but it is mainly like a party thing that's going to be like Yuzuru's place. So that's definitely going to be, like I said, we'll just have to wait to see how it all plays out. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.